Welcome back to the channel. My name's Cody. I've got a special guest today. If you're new to the channel, though, make sure to hit subscribe so you can see every video I post on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, today's special guest, we've got Ronnie Jackson. Ronnie is actually local to where I grew up, and he has killed it in a couple different industries. He's got a very unique background, and I'm excited to have him on today to talk about his business. So, Ronnie, welcome. Tell us who you are.
Thanks, Cody. Thanks for having me. Well, so my name's Ronnie Jackson. I just got into the real estate space just uh, just under 2 years ago. So it's been about a year and a half right now. I was selling cars prior to getting in real estate, was quite successful, and then they decided they wanted to change the pay plan. So I began to pursue my real estate career.
Yeah, and you've been doing more than just hang your real estate license somewhere. You've actually been going out and buying deals, right?
Yeah.
So let's jump into that a little bit. Like what are you
Okay.
working on right now? What's your overall business been in the real estate space?
So in the real estate space, well, first, when I decided to get my real estate license, I didn't come in with the mindset I just wanted to be a real estate agent or broker. I knew that I wanted to buy investment properties. I knew I wanted to have long-term holds in my portfolio. And so basically, I was using my real estate license um, just get into the game, be around folks, use that as kind of my passport into a new world, and just start doing transactions on the broker side and also on the real estate side. So right now, my business model, I help people buy or sell homes, but I also look for distressed properties that I can buy and flip. And right now, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, continue, but what are you doing this for? Like that, because you've done, I mean, you glossed over it a little bit, but you weren't just a successful like you weren't a car dealer that was doing, just okay. You
Yeah,
were like in the top percentile
yeah.
of car dealers, and car salesmen.
So
So,
you want me to talk about that a little bit?
well, I just think it would be important because there's probably people watching this who are like, okay,
Yeah,
this guy got real estate, he's helping people buy stuff, he's buying these flips, trying to make some money and get into some long-term holds.
yeah,
But some people right now are where you were when we first met,
yeah.
and they're earning okay money doing the car thing. Like, can you talk about that transition a little bit?
So I prior to that, I was in prison for 23 years. I went away when I was 21 years old. I came home 2020. 45 years old. I started in detail washing cars. I did that for 6 months. The company liked my work ethic. They promoted me to internet sales. So I would take calls when people called in and inquired about the cars that we had available. They would so my job was to bring them into the store to, buy, make a purchase so they could buy a car. So I did that for 6 months. And then after I was at Hanson Kia, I was put on the sales floor. So my first month, I went on the sales floor. So mind you, I didn't have any sales experience prior to coming into this job. But my first month, I sold 9 cars. I think I made $9,500. And then the second month, I did the same numbers. And the third month, I sold 18 cars and I made about 18,000, 18 and a half. And then from there, I just, kind of began to hone my craft. And it took me about 3 or 4 months before I became the top sales guy there. My first year selling cars, I made $300,000. My second year, I only worked for 6 months. I made $360,000 selling cars.
It's a lot of money. I mean, that's
Yeah,
some people could go the college route and work a whole career and not get to that amount of money. So
yeah,
my question is, you're doing that so well, and this was a question I proposed to you when we met, and you were
yeah.
thinking of this jump. We were over at Alderbrook, and why make the jump? I mean, you've built such, and I'm curious about your skill set that allowed you to do so well there.
So yeah, let's talk about that. So one thing that I think people maybe don't know, like when you're in prison, like every day you have to pay attention to people's body language. Like, is this person upset? Are they angry? Whether it's the people who you're incarcerated with or it's the correctional officers, you're constantly reading people and checking their temperature. So another thing, I took Toastmasters when I was inside. I also led a bunch of men's groups, self-awareness, anger management. I was part of a group that helped reduce violence in prison. So when I came home, I didn't know that I was developing these kind of skills. So when I came home and I got the job, started selling cars, it was just automatic because inside you're dealing with real threats. Outside here, you're just dealing with people. You're just making a connection. And because I had spent so much time in those classes, it was just easy for me to make connections when I seen people come up on the lot, you know?
That's huge. And so for folks who are wanting to get into any industry, you think that would be a really important trait to and skill set to build is just the ability to read the room and communicate with others.
Yes, yeah, that's what set me apart because I was gone for so long, I didn't even understand the technology that was inside cars. So just had to kind of sell myself and get people to like me. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you've done an incredible job in the car industry. And when they cut your pay plan, I remember you bringing that up. Like, I'm going to make the jump. I'm glad you did. You're crushing it now in real estate. And
yeah,
I think that it speaks volumes that the level of success that you've been able to do in both of these industries puts a high importance on the ability to communicate. I mean, it's quite obvious from looking, outside in that that served you really well because now you've got some listings that you've been selling
yeah,
in the real estate business. You've been going through a couple flips now. What's your overall
yeah.
approach to the actual real estate business? Because you want to do the long-term buy and hold. I saw your post on Facebook that you want to get 20 doors this year. What is the Ronnie
Yeah.
Jackson?
So, I think if you don't set goals and you don't have anything to measure, and I want my business to probably 80/20. 20 is my brokerage deals, and the other 80% are investment deals. So what investment deals, I'm talking about something where I could buy and flip or purchase and hold. So my main purpose is the money that I've been making from the dealership and my flips. I want to take that money and place into, 30, 40, 100 units and just scale up. So
And that's huge. And I know you're going to be able to do it. You got the skill set, you got now the track record. What does it all boil down to? What's it for? Because you can make money. You can make more than just ends meet.
yeah,
What's the impact that you're trying to do after the fact? Because it's been cool to see it as a friend's point of
yeah,
view. But I just think back to the listeners who are going to watch this who maybe they're getting their real estate license. Maybe they are selling cars. I know some car salespeople that are
yeah,
younger and they're trying to get ahead.
yeah.
Once they actually get ahead, what's next? Like, do you just keep doing this forever? What do you see yourself doing?
Well, my main purpose is to buy back my time and have freedom. And then the next stage after I feel that I'm stable is this I just want to go around the world inspiring people because a lot of people, it doesn't have to be incarceration. It could be cancer. It could be, someone, lost a limb, someone faced some violence, someone's involved in some tragedy. Some people don't know how to bounce back from that. And I just want to kind of share my story and just talk about overcoming the difficulties in life and just pushing forward and getting through it and moving on. When some people go through hard times or go through challenging times, when they make it through, they discover what their purpose and calling is. And when I went through that experience, I I'm not a car salesman. I'm not a real estate agent. I, those are the things that I do, but I know my purpose is to come out and just inspire people to be better and do bigger things.
And how do you feel like you dig yourself out? Everybody can look around themselves, no matter what's going on, and see themselves in some type of hole, no matter what it is or how
Yeah.
far extended it is. When you ended up, you told me some of this over coffee, but when you were in that spot and you were first trying to figure, okay, what's next, before you got out,
Yeah.
what did you focus on? Because I imagine you were a much different person on the back half of that experience than you were on the front.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I was like, there's a couple things that like the defining moments in that part. So I'll talk about one. One of the things that happened was a huge riot in the prison, and it just was complete mayhem, and just people were just, just acting very barbaric. And I remember sitting on my bunk, kind of covering my ears, and was like, man, what did you do? How did you get yourself in this situation? And that, I just started digging deeper, searching for answers. Because on the surface, you can say I went to prison because of a bad drug deal, right? But it goes deeper than that. That's just the event that sent me away. But I went away because I was selling drugs, because I was a gang member, because my father wasn't in the home. And why wasn't my father in the home? Because they separated when I was at a young age. So you have to start going back. There's an exercise called the 7 layers. So essentially what I did is start peeling back those layers and get to the root of your hurt, your pain and frustration, and try to understand that some things you're not responsible for. Like, we're not responsible for the parents that we have, the environments that we were put in. And you didn't really get to shape who you were in those first 3 to 5 years that help shape your personality. But once you become aware that you can reshape and create whoever you want to be, then you become responsible to pursuing your goals and dreams. So that's what I did. What does that look like in real time? I started accessing the library and reading psychology books. So I started with early childhood psychology, so I can understand how a young child, a young human being's mind is shaped and formed. And from there, I progressed to, just college textbooks, psychology textbooks, so I can understand what a human being is capable of doing. And then I read autobiographies and biographies and self-help books to see to see a person go through it and make it out the other end. And while I was in that space, I told myself, I want to read something where what's the most horrific thing that's known to mankind? Like, somebody, making it through a terrible time. So I studied slavery extensively, because I was like, if these people can make it through that experience and then create a life after that, then so can I, because I have a place to sleep. I'm fed every day. I get to exercise. I get to communicate with people. I get to use the phone. Even though I was incarcerated, there's other privileges. So on the one extreme, I was able to, dig into the psychology of people who have went through very, much challenging times that I was going through. And I just pushed myself. Like, if they made it through this, then you can rebuild your life and, have a great ending when this is all over.
That's a lot to dig into, and I feel like there's going to be at least, there's a good percentage of the people that are going to see this that will have takeaways from that. The 7 layers, is that in a book, or is that a book that you
Yeah,
brought up?
it's in the book, but I read so many, I can't remember what book I pulled it out of. Yeah,
Well, that's going to help someone, because I feel like digging down to the root cause, that you got things you can control, things you can influence, things you can't, like you mentioned, and really deep diving that, it's helped you a lot. But I feel like a lot of people
yeah,
aren't being given that advice. and actually acting on it. Do you write that stuff down? Were you writing that in a journal, or were you just doing it mentally in your head?
No, I was journaling. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was journaling. Actually, journaling was very therapeutic for me because it's just me and I could be open with my feelings. And as a young man, sometimes that's challenging and difficult to express yourself. But I felt I had to do it in order for me to heal, to be a healthy individual. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you did that because, Ronnie, you've been a great friend, and I mean, you didn't have to do all the self development, yet you did it anyway. And I'm sure now looking back on it, you're very happy you did.
I,
But
I yeah.
yeah, because I mean, you took total control and responsibility for where you were, and you changed the direction that you could go. And now you're doing great things. You bought more real estate than most people ever will, and you're just getting started.
Yeah.
Back to that, do you have any real estate flips you're doing actively?
No, I was on the contract for one in Seattle, which would have made my fifth one in the last 13 months. But upon inspection, don't ever buy a property without inspecting it. Upon inspection, there was some foundation issues. And so I backed out of the contract. Yeah.
It's good to be able to walk away. There have been a couple I walked away from, and there's too many people that won't do that. They let
Yeah.
something get in the way and they move forward, and it shoots them in the foot. So, good on you for walking away. Is that the first deal you walked away from?
Yes.
Okay,
it,
there
it,
will
was,
be more.
it was hard. I looked at the property probably 4 or 5 different times. And the last time I went there, and I took a good friend over there with me, who does new construction rebuilds, and just he was calling, tapping into his resources, and as he described the property, and I'm looking at his face and hearing the other person on the other end of the call, it just was like it didn't make sense anymore. So
Well, good on you for walking away. I think that's another key piece people should take away is you don't always have to move forward to move forward.
yeah,
Any
I would
business.
rather. Yeah, I was like, man, I'd rather save my money than to throw money at this deal. I'd rather wait for the next one to come along. And besides that, now I'm not really struggling. I have a lot of things in my pipeline, so I'm not, really stressed about finding a deal. I know they'll come.
And that pipeline, did you build that cold calling or what are you doing for that?
Yes, yes. So I have a schedule from 8 to 11 where I'm in the office Monday through Friday. Sometimes I'm making calls on Saturday and Sunday. Just depends on what I'm doing. But yeah, I reach out to people. I spend 3 hours a day just cold calling people.
The difference in anybody's business. If you're talking with multiple people a day, I mean, I'm sure you're making a lot of calls that don't pick up, but you're also probably reaching a handful of people. And
Yeah.
that's the key to it right there. That's exactly how I got started. And that's how you keep a full pipeline.
Yeah.
So for those who are maybe they've done a couple deals, or maybe they're just getting started, what piece of advice would you leave them with as like the number one, if there had to be one, most important trait or skill set? We talked about communication, but the number one
Yeah.
thing they should focus on if they'd like to go from working a job, we'll think about it like your car sales, to full-time real estate investor.
Well, I would say save up at least 6 months of expenses before you leave your 9 to 5 and hop into, real estate, because that way you don't have to, feel the pressure of, are you going to be to pay your bills? And the second thing I would say is, we generate and find deals just different ways. And whatever way that is for you, just be consistent about it. I like making calls. Some people use social media. They're constantly on social media, posting things. Some people reach out to their sphere of influence. But whatever it is that you pick for your prospecting, just be consistent with it, and things will start to happen.
That's huge. And for those who want to follow you along your journey, because I imagine there's going to be a bunch of people that like to follow you as I'm following you. I like following you on Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
So I'm on Facebook, just Ronnie Jackson, and then on IG it's Ronnie underscore sales homes.
That's awesome. Well, Ronnie, I appreciate you jumping on today, sharing your story and sharing some of the most important pieces to your transformation. Because what you've done is significantly more difficult than what most people have to go through. And it's very impressive. So I appreciate you jumping on and sharing because this will help a lot of people.
Well, thanks, Cody. Thanks for having me on here, and thank you for all your advice and always meeting with me breakfast or like that deal in Tennessee. By the way, I'll be down there. I'm leaving on Thursday to go to Atlanta. Then I'm going to go check out that property. But I definitely appreciate your friendship and all the conversations we've had over the past couple of years.
Well, I'm here. So when you're in Clarksville, you give me a ring.
Okay, I will for sure.
All right.
All
Thanks,
right,
Ronnie.
thanks. All right, bye.